impacting lives, building leaders all around the world. Let us keep our dreams alive, 'cause tomorrow's gonna be a better day.
Hello everyone, welcome to Kectil World Youth Network podcast. We come with on-the-ground news from youth around the world about what they think about the geopolitical situations in their countries, what the wars that are happening around the world, the problems that youth faces, and a lot of things that concern youth, people, their livelihoods, governments, and the ground realities from countries of Kectil colleagues around the world. We have very interesting stories coming in from Nigeria, and today we have two amazing young people joining from Nigeria. And when we speak about Nigeria, some of the stories that we usually hear are about the kidnappings that are happening in Nigeria, and what does that mean for the youth in Nigeria, and what has the history been around the kidnappings. And beyond reading it in newspapers or beyond learning it in the internet, let's hear the on-ground realities from two young, amazing Nigerians who are joining us today. And to have a very holistic, overall view of what's happening in Nigeria, we have a young person coming in from the northern part of Nigeria and one joining us from the southern part of Nigeria. And drum rolls, please. The youth that we have today joining are Oyindamola and Malik. Over to you, both of you. Please introduce yourselves to the speaker. Yes. Sorry.
Thank you very much, Ashwathy. Thank you. Thank you very much, Ashwathy. Thank you for this amazing opportunity. And good day, everyone. My name is Oludipe 𝗬𝗏. I am a Nigerian from the southern region of the country, specifically the beautiful mountainous state of Ekiti. I pursued a degree in political science, which deepened my understanding of the global, the complex systems that shape our world. And today I am an intersectional feminist, a climate justice advocate, a research assistant, and administrative officer. I'm excited to share my perspectives and experiences with you all today. So let me pass the mic to Malik. Hi, Malik.
Hi, everyone. I'm excited to be here and thank you for having us here. My name is Malik Mujeli. I'm from Kebbi State, northern Nigeria. I'm a Muslim and 𝗪صa by tribe. I'm a calligrapher, a youth activist, and a creative, goal-oriented person. And I obtained a diploma in economics from Ibrahim College of Advanced Studies. I am interested in reading books, learning new skills, and also learning about the Holy Quran and its teachings. Thank you.
Thank you, Malik, and thank you, Oyi. Welcome, both of you. And just to set a context once more, Malik is joining from northern part of Nigeria, and Oyindamola is joining from the southern part of Nigeria. And when we before we begin speaking about the hot topic that we are going to discuss today, I want to know from both of you, how would you describe Nigeria, the giant of Africa, in a very short and succinct way?
Okay, Nigeria is the most populated Black nation in the world, with a population of over 225 million people. It is also the seventh most populous country in the world and have the third largest youth population after India and China. So we are known for our rich cultural heritage and a vast natural resources, with more than 250 ethnic groups and over 500 languages spoken. So Nigeria is a melting pot of cultures, traditions, and beliefs. Thank you.
Well, Nigeria, the giant of Africa, the most populous Black nation. I will describe Nigeria as a land of incredible diversity, a land of numerous cultures, languages, and beliefs, and that is blessed with an abundance of natural resources, a vibrant tradition, and a rich cultural heritage.
Awesome. And now let me segue into the topic that we want to take up and discuss today. We hear a lot of things about kidnappings and extremist activities in Nigeria from the newspaper, from a lot of authors who write about this. Like it has been going on for many years now, and we have a lot of material that we get to read about, a lot of videos and content on YouTube around this. And Malik, you are from the northern region where extremist activities have intensified. What is the current situation regarding extremist activities in the northern part of Nigeria?
Well, the current situation in northern Nigeria remains volatile, with numerous cases of kidnappings and killings of innocent civilians by armed bandits across several states in northern Nigeria. Towards the ending of last year, that's 2023, we witnessed 3 cases of kidnapping of female students from tertiary institutions in northern Nigeria within a span of 3 weeks. This includes the abduction of 24 students from the Federal University of Gusau, who were kidnapped after bandits invaded the 𝗧𝗿𝗂𝗁 community of Bungudu local government area in Zamfara state. There were also the case of 5 female students from the Federal University 𝗬𝗻𝗻 in Katsina state and 4 students from Nasarawa State University in Kefi, who were also kidnapped by armed bandits. And just recently, we had the women suicide bombers targeted a wedding, a funeral, and a hospital in coordinated attacks in northern Nigeria that killed at least 30 people and injured many. Most of the women carrying out these suicide bombings are often the ones kidnapped by extremist groups like Boko Haram, and I suspect they may have been brainwashed by the Boko Haram, therefore they act like this. So that's the current situation going on.
Okay. So Malik, when you say universities, we are talking about young people who are not children, they are actually young adults, right?
Yeah, young adults.
Okay. And how has these activities affected the daily life of Nigerians in northern region of Nigeria?
Well, these activities have massively affected the lives of thousands of Nigerians in the northern region, particularly the girl child education. It actually has led to widespread discouragement of girl child education across the region. Let me give an example. Just imagine having to convince an uneducated parents from rural areas in northern Nigeria to send their children to school, only for a case of banditry and kidnapping to occur shortly after. So this will inevitably lead parents to withdraw their children from schools, prioritizing their safety over their education. So this perpetuates inequality and limits girl access to education. And we have other cases of many people having fled their homes due to the violence and insecurity, while those who cannot leave are afraid to travel because, the highways have become hotspots for armed bandits. And also numerous individuals have lost their sources of income due to the ongoing insecurity in the region. People can no longer go to the farm or their business places due to the fear of being attacked by bandits. So these activities have massively affected the lives of thousands of northern Nigerians.
Thanks a lot for sharing that, Malik. I think even when we read about it in newspapers, we generally think about people who got kidnapped and what probably has befallen them. But it is always something that we forget to think about the people in the community. How has their lives been affected long term? The fear in itself stops everyone from doing anything. It stops education, it stops development, it just stops livelihood. And it's such a profound thing, Malik. Yeah. Thanks for sharing about it. Oyi, now my question is to Oyi. From the southern region, how do you perceive these incidents and how does it affect normal civilian life in the south?
Okay. Well, so from the south, we saw this incident as a distant but disturbing reality. We would check the news and see the violence, the kidnappings. It was like a constant fear in the back of our minds. So many Southerners have been worried about the spread of extremism and its impact on national security. The violence was mostly in the north, but we feared, and we still fear, that it could spread to other parts of the country. So let me just, drive back to memory lane, I remember in 2014, the leader of Boko Haram made a threat to come to the women and girls in the South. So I was still in high school back then, and it was like, wait, this is for real? So we were all scared, and it was hard to focus in class because, the girl child has always been targeted by this extremist group. So that was what initially caused, the fear we all had. So, but here's the thing. Despite this fear, daily life in the South remains relatively unaffected. We still have our normal lives, but with the heightened sense of security, vigilance, and military presence in some areas. Although we have economic issues, because the crisis in the North affects the national economy, which leads to inflation. But, that is the reality of how the Southern region perceives the instead in the North. It's a complex situation, but we are navigating it together.
And Malik, on this, in this situation, I've also read a news in March. I think a lot of people who are listening in must have read about this news. So we read about abduction of children from a school, Kuriga district, by bandits. And we keep getting reports about how these children are abducted and then sent back after payment of ransom. So is that common? And what do you know about this activity?
Well, that there are different types of kidnapping going on, ranging from the abduction of a single person or a small group of 5 people, often on highways, homes, or workplaces. And there's that of mass kidnapping of people, like frequently in schools and tertiary institutions. So in the case of smaller scale kidnappings, bandits typically demand a ransom from the victim's family, threatening to kill them if the payment is not made. So fearing for their loved ones' lives, families often gather the required funds and hand them over to the bandits in exchange for a self-release of their loved ones. Although the federal government of Nigeria has strictly condemned the payment of ransom to bandits, people still opt for this route due to the instances where the government has failed to ensure self-release of the victims. While cases like this mass abduction of Kuriga students usually prompts a coordinated response from the government, which conducts and search with rescue operations through a joint effort between military, local authorities, and government agencies, ultimately to ensure safe return of the kidnapped students. Yeah, so that's it.
Okay. And in 2019, when I met a Kectal colleague from Nigeria, that is when I personally heard about Boko Haram for the first time, because I probably did not have that much exposure before that. So I think a lot of people who are listening into this podcast, they must also be listening in, maybe for the very first time listening and hearing about Boko Haram. Maybe others have already heard about it. So just to set the perspectives here, even if they don't know about it, Malik and Oyi, just asking you, do you know anything, or do you have anything more to add about what is Boko Haram? Who are they? And are there any other militant groups other than Boko Haram who are part of such extremist activities?
Well, from my own understanding, Boko Haram insurgency is primarily a religious crisis. Okay. You ask how are these related? So while banditry in Nigeria is largely a consequence of economic hardship and widespread of poverty and unemployment, especially in the rural areas, so corrupt individuals have taken banditry and kidnapping as a means of generating income. While from the fact that we know Boko Haram is a religious crisis from the way it started. So while from the bandit side, it's caused by the economic hardship and the widespread of poverty and unemployment in Nigeria. So corrupt individuals have taken banditry and kidnapping as a means of generating income. And notably, bandits demand ransom in exchange for their captives, unlike Boko Haram, which often kidnaps and brutally kills or holds people captives for the rest of their lives. Yeah.
and it's called the kidnapping industry in Nigeria now, right?
Exactly.
So you mentioned about how religious extremism, the livelihood, everything is intertwined, and there is another perspective that I heard about. So, so the main motive, as in this next thing that I'm going to ask, maybe if you think it's not safe to talk about it, let's not. But if it's your choice, I'm leaving it up to you to answer this or not. But I've heard from some sources that kidnapping is a means to destabilize the community and a way to hide the fact that the mining industry and the giants behind it are looting the area, northern Nigeria especially. And I heard that this is like a cartel and they work to spread fear and push away civilian lives so that they can protect the sources of gold and diamond. What can you tell about this?
We cannot ignore the fact that the areas much affected by this extremist groups are also areas that are very rich in natural resources. So I suspect that kidnapping is a tactic, used to destabilize the community and a way to conceal the mining activities, allowing those behind it to plunder the area's resources with impunity. So I believed.
So, like, naturally, because of fear, you will not move around. There will be a lot of areas that you will avoid as a person who's staying in northern Nigeria. That's the case, right, Malik? Like, you will, the civilians will keep away from areas where such mining activities might be happening. But is that the case?
Yeah, exactly. That's the case. But there's a situation where, like, you were born in a place, you were raised there, so you cannot live there. No way to go. So you have to stay there. Anything that will happen, then it will happen. That's the problem. So that's just it.
Okay. I guess, Oyindamola, if you have anything that you want to add about this, we can dial back into the same question later. But I wanted to ask again about the government's involvement in this, especially it's not just about how the government is protecting and safeguarding, but since we were talking about the mining industry and how it may be one of the reasons, can it be the fact that the government is also involved in this? Like, would you call it a conspiracy theory, or would there be any element of truth if the government is also involved in it?
Well, this is a critical question, So, late General Sani Abacha, a former Nigeria's military head of state, once said, and I quote, any insurgency that lasts more than 24 hours, a government official is involved. That was he said. So by this statement, even if the government is not directly involved, they may have some interest in it, one way or another. Why? Because government is government. And I believe with the power and influence of the government, they can resolve this issue within a few hours if they so desire. So they might be involved.
I get you.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I mean, that's actually a very, very good perspective. I think it is not just in Nigeria. This is applicable everywhere around the world, especially developing countries are, if the law enforcement and, the way in which the justice is to be brought about, if it's not happening within the time frame, then that's a good perspective, Malik. I actually agree with you on that. Yeah. And so while we're talking about the government and its involvement, when a kidnapping occurs, where do people usually turn to? I mean, you mentioned about how ransom is people are asked not to pay the ransom if in case they have been asked for a ransom. But in any conditions, in first response of people, whenever such a kidnapping happens, what is it usually? Like, what is the protocol?
Well, when kidnapping occurs, people usually seek help from security agencies, such as the police and military, to facilitate the release of abducted individuals. And there's this case, some northern state governors have set up a community watch group to enhance the resident security. So usually people tend to look for the community watch group and tell them what's going on, But then unfortunately, the security agencies tend to respond ineffectively to these situations, and often leads to people losing hope in the safe return of their kidnapped loved ones, and then engaging in paying ransom, which the government condemned.
Yeah. Okay. And have there been any parallel security agencies that people would like to rely on, not official, but people who actually, I'm not saying
like a vigilante, right?
Yes, exactly. I wasn't getting the word. Thanks, Malik.
Exactly. That's what I mentioned. Exactly.
Community watch group.
Just some northern state governors have just recently inaugurated a community watch group. So it's a kind of vigilante. They will come and train you for a month, and then you'll be a vigilante. And at times, people when the kidnapping occurs, people tend to go to their place and tell them this so happened, and then seek security. So they are kind of that.
I'm curious because there are such militant activities that are happening in such frequency. Do people usually carry any weapons or anything to protect themselves in the wake of such extremist activities? Is it common or is it unheard of?
It's not common. Actually, it's not common. This thing that's happening is largely a northern part of Nigeria. And northern part of Nigeria are mostly Muslims. And they tend to listen to all these Islamic scholars much more than the government itself. So I know Islam doesn't this kind of self, and you can easily attack someone that is not really attacking you, because of anger or something like that. So they used to discourage the Islamic scholars to discourage them to not do such. So and then it's not common. It's not common.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And how does the media and public voices react to these incidents?
How does the public voices?
Public voices and media as in the news in media, and public voices as in people on social media and citizen journalists. How do they react to this?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Well, the general public, especially social media influencers, respond critically to the incident and demanding actions against the perpetrators. So the influencers raise awareness through social media, mobilizing support for the victims' families, and also spread the message globally using hashtags such as, bring back our girls, secure North, bring back focused girls, and thereby creating pressure on authorities to take decisive action and measures to resolve the incident promptly. Yeah.
I want to ask about Boko Haram again. So Boko Haram is famous for its militant activities, infamous through popular writers, articles, and we have even gotten a glimpse into their lives in ways. At least I have read about a news article in which people who escaped that life, they seek rehabilitation, but factions and fights within such extremist groups create disruptions, and children become like slaves within these factions. And how much of this is actually becoming news? Is the situation much worse than what we know outside Nigeria?
Honestly speaking, the situation is much worse than what we know outside Nigeria. Boko Haram has caused massive disruptions in the region. And you wouldn't believe it until you see it with your own eyes. Many children are now psychologically and mentally ill, having witnessed their parents being killed in front of their eyes. They are traumatized by the incident, and it will continue to haunt them, for the rest of their lives. And it is a very serious matter. And if action is not taken, these children will become the Frankenstein monsters that will come and consume all of us later. Yeah. So I believe the government have tried, but in my opinion, the government should establish rehabilitation centers, where these children can receive help to overcome their traumas. But it's a very serious matter. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I did read about it was about a woman. So she was abducted as a child, and then she was with the faction, one of the militant groups. During one rehabilitation drive, she was rescued and brought back into the society. But since she kind of grew up in the faction, she was not able to get aligned with the natives. Exactly. She went back. But when she went back, both the factions had fought, and her life became unsafe. She had a son by that time. Her son was taken in by the extremists, and she was thrown out. And then she has come back again into the mainstream, but now her son is missing. As in, he is part of the militant group now.
So
So I mean, these are like one-off stories that come out into the media, international media, and we get to read. But I'm sure you guys must be so much desensitized to so many stories that are happening around you. I can't even imagine how that should be.
Yeah.
So, and we have a lot of Nigerian colleagues in Kectil, and what we have heard is extremists ruled the northern part of Nigeria, and central and southern Nigerians are like far removed from all of this. So, is life very different in every other part of Nigeria except for northern Nigeria? What do you think, Malik? And if Oyi, your network is back, we would really like to hear about your perspectives too.
Well, extremism has a broader impact across Nigeria, not only just northern Nigeria. As a united Nigeria, when one region is hit by extremist activities, it affects all the regions at large. Since, trade and commerce are disrupted, affecting businesses and markets across the country. While life in other parts of Nigeria may differ from the reality in northern Nigeria, central and southern regions have generally experienced more stability and peace, But beyond the ongoing extremist violence in northern Nigeria, the region is one of the best, if not the best places to live in Nigeria. Had it been Oyindamola is here, she can testify this. So the people's hospitality is top-notch, and there's, affordable cost of living, with foods and crops being relatively inexpensive, making life easy for an average person. Like, it's very, the place is very nice to live in,
Yeah. Oyi, can you try speaking? Maybe if we are audible to you, can you please share your perspectives? We'll give her 10 seconds. Oh, we got her on a very inconvenient day for her, I guess. The internet is working up and she's not able to voice her opinions on this. Hopefully, whenever we get her back on the podcast, we'll hear her perspectives, no matter at what point in our conversation we are in.
Hi, Ashwathy. Can you hear me?
Finally, we have Oyi back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Okay, I completely heard everything Malik said. So,
yes.
Life in southern Nigeria is, let me just say, indeed different from what you might hear about the north. But, it's not without its challenges. So our region is not immune to the societal problems that plagues our country, because we still face issues like poverty, inequality, and social injustice, which affects people from all regions in Nigeria. So we have a whole set of challenges, from environmental degradation to social and, economic inequalities. So the North, they have its issues, but it's not like we have, issues free or challenges free. So we still have many communities in the South that are marginalized and excluded from, the country's resources and development. And to be honest, the state in southwestern part of Nigeria is still like the poorest state in Nigeria. So it's not like we are challenges free, but we still have, our issues. And we are resilient, resourceful, and we recognize that our region is not an island and we are connected to the rest of the country. So we are more complex than the headlines, and we are, complex and a dynamic society with, stories waiting to be told. So we are not far from, the North or the issues in the North.
Okay. You're not far from the issues in the North, but what is your perspectives on why haven't the extremists gone beyond northern part? Like, why are they, is it because of some government interventions that extremists are usually restricted to the northern region? Or are there any other reasons that they're mostly concentrating in that part?
Well, I'm not strongly standing with the government, but I will stand with the people that, education and, the socio-economic development in the South is, let me just say, basically what is affecting, the southern parts of Nigeria. To be honest, the northern part of the country is still drawn back when it comes to education and enlightenment. So I believe it's, something that is still, playing a huge part in the southern part of Nigeria, because due to education, we are not thrilled to join this extremism or to take part in extremist activities. Everyone wants to go to school. We want to be educated. We want to leave the country. We want to live better lives. So I believe the socio-economic reality in the South is what is, making the southern part of Nigeria better off, when it comes to extremist activities than the North. So that is my own opinion when it comes to this question.
Okay, thank you. Is there something you want to add, Malik, about that?
No, we are good to go.
All right. Okay. So I am, speaking from a perspective of a youth sitting outside Nigeria. And for you, what do you think is the international responses this crisis being effective? What people have been doing for Nigeria from outside, be it UN agencies or be it other governments, be it international citizens or well-wishers of Nigeria, is there any international responses that has created any sort of effect to help with this crisis?
Well, the international response to the crisis has been somewhat effective. Powerful countries like the USA, France, powerful countries around the world have provided military assistance to Nigeria, including training the Nigerian army and providing war equipment for the armed forces. Although international response may be limited and inconsistent, I believe that the international community has done its best to ensure stability in the region. So, advisably, Nigeria should utilize the limited support provided by the international community and add to its own efforts to control and combat the insurgency effectively. Yeah.
Oyi, do you have anything to add to that?
Okay, I have something to add to that, but I'm so sorry, Malik, but I may stand, to antagonize what you said, because, from the start, what we perceived in the start, we perceived that the international community's response to the crisis in the northern region has been slow and, inadequate. When some humanitarian aid has been provided, I believe it has been insufficient to address the scale of, this crisis. So, for example, we had, the delayed response to the Chibok schoolgirls' abduction in 2014, which highlighted, this international community's lack of urgency in addressing the crisis. And at some point, we also heard about the insufficient funding for humanitarian aid, particularly in the early years, which left, many organizations struggling to respond effectively. So maybe also includes that international community's failure to engage with this, with local stakeholders, such as, the civil society organizations like the Bring Back Our Girls movements, community leaders and traditional authorities, and local peace building initiatives. I'm not totally saying that they have not been helpful, But I feel like more needs to be done to address the root causes of the crisis. I believe that the international communities can do more to reducing this crisis, by engaging in more sustained and meaningful dialogue with local stakeholders. They can also support socioeconomic development. I'm not totally leaving it to them, but I believe that if we have more educational initiatives, a lot of things can happen in the north. People can go back to school. Fine, we have refugee camps, but how can refugee camps, change the situation completely? So I believe that they can also promote inclusive governance. It's not totally in their hands, but they can also contribute in that aspect. So that is my opinion. In inclusive with what Malik has said.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Oyi. Thanks, Malik. And while we are on the topic of international, what has the local and as well as international media coverage of this crisis affected the public perception of Nigeria? As in, not about what Nigerians think about Nigeria. I'm talking about what do you think all this has made the rest of the world? How has their perception about Nigeria changed?
Okay. Thank you very much, Ashwathy, for this very good, just Wednesday crucial question. The local and international media coverage of the crisis in the northern region, to me, has been sensationalized and skewed. They have always been perpetrating negative stereotypes and stigmatizing entire communities. Like, the media has focused primarily on violence and extremism, neglecting the root causes of the crisis and the suffering of innocent civilians. So, for example, the media often uses simplistic and misleading headlines such as Boko Haram terrorizes Nigeria. Who does that? Or Islamic extremists kill dozens. So these headlines create a distorted image of the crisis, implying that the entire region is controlled by extremists and that all Muslims are terrorists. So if they're saying Islamic extremists kill dozens, so this is giving people a different mind about the Islamic people in Nigeria. And another example is the media failing to explore the historical and cultural factors that have contributed to the crisis. We have the legacy of colonialism and the impact of poverty and inequality. Just like what is said in the previous question you had, I mentioned something about education, which is very crucial to, to change the situation of the north. So the media has also neglected to report on the experiences of women and children who are often the most affected by the crisis. So the media has neglected so many things, and I feel like this biased coverage has contributed to a distorted public perception of Nigeria, reinforcing, harmful stereotypes and fueling misinformation. And there's also created a sense of hopelessness because we are just lucky that we have not yet been banned by some countries, when it comes to immigration.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, we are still very lucky that we have not yet been banned by some organizations and some countries. And this has caused, despair among Nigerians because it's really undermining the efforts to address the crisis. So that is my opinion. Let me pass the mic to Malik.
I will just add on from what Oyindamola has said. The international media reports on violence have created a bad image of Nigeria, leading the outsiders to view Nigeria as a dangerous and violence-ridden country. Just as you mentioned as Boko Haram, the Nigeria, not mentioning northern part of Nigeria, or Islamic, all these terms, and so it just it leads outsiders to view Nigeria as a dangerous and violence-ridden country. And and other local media, in my opinion, has provided a platform for Nigerians to voice out their concerns and experience and impact of the crisis, offering a more balanced perspective of the crisis. So,
Okay, and now this question I was asking you was about the perception of Nigeria, and my second question is very much related. What are the common misconceptions that people have about the conflict or the crisis? what do people assume, and what are some of the wrong assumptions that internationally people have just decided about the conflict.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Is Malik going first?
Can I go first? In my opinion.
Yes, you can.
My opinion, a common misconception about the conflict is the assumptions that Boko Haram represent Muslims. Although they claim to be Muslims, they do things, they read Quran, they at times pray and videotape and show the world, but their actions have been widely condemned by Muslims who understand that Islam does not condone the killing and bombing of innocent people. And it's ironic that they targeted both mosques and churches, and it's contradicting the fundamental teachings of Islam. So these misconceptions make the people unfairly associate Muslims with terrorism, and it is essential to distinguish between the extremist ideology of Boko Haram and the peaceful beliefs of Muslims. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let me just add to what Malik has said. So let me just point out this misconception about the conflict in northern Nigeria, which is the fact that the Nigerian government is effectively addressing the crisis. And when in fact, there are concerns about corruption, ineffectiveness, and lack of political will. So people have this in mind that the government is trying its best, and maybe the citizens or the northern the Nigerian citizens are staying away from a better life. So there is another misconception there, which is, the fact that the crisis is limited to Boko Haram, which in fact, there are broader issues of poverty, inequality, and political marginalization.
Yeah.
So another one, that I would also love to mention is believing that the crisis is only in northern Nigeria. It's a Muslim problem, just like what Malik said. Whereas it's not a Muslim problem, it's not a northern problem. In fact, it affects all Nigerians regardless of region and religion. Because I mentioned something earlier about the economy and, the fact that what happens in the north, it goes round in our economy. It speaks on the Nigerian economy. So, those are like the common misconceptions I know about the conflict in the northern Nigeria.
Yeah, I mean, both of you raised a point which is very connected with something that I don't know if we picked this up in one of our discussions or did I pick this from somewhere else, but this is what I've heard. Divided Nigeria is surprisingly bringing Nigerians together. So when you say, have you heard about this? What is this divided Nigeria? And does this have to do with different religious communities in Nigeria and how they're all coming together in wake of such extremist actions?
Okay, Ashwathy, there is nothing like a divided Nigeria.
Okay.
As a Nigerian, I would say this boldly that there's nothing like a divided Nigeria. But someone out there, whatever the media outlet brings out, will assume that there is a divided Nigeria because the media has painted these extremist activities as, a Muslim problem. Everybody will want to perceive that, okay, the Christians are, angry with the Muslims are not, in tune with, the Christian Nigerians, which is not true. There's nothing called a divided. Yeah, there's nothing called a divided Nigeria. The problem is a Nigerian problem. It's not a northern problem. The fact that we are only described by our regions, but we are still one. That is just the thing. We are still one. So there is nothing called a divided Nigeria. So I believe that misconception needs to change. And I think it needs something to do with, the media outlets, what the public voices say about this issue. So let me pass the mic to Malik.
You've said it all. You've said it all. Yes.
Thank you so much, Oyi and Malik, because now, listeners, this is for the listeners. Everybody who's listening in, you're listening about what is the real truth from ground zero, that is from Nigeria. Now, whatever you read in the newspapers, everybody will have an agenda, or every news house will have a colored perspective that is not as authentic as the voices that we hear right now. So whenever you go back, and if ever you're reading about something from Nigeria, some reports about Nigeria from Nigeria always put, like have your own, put your own brains to it and decide whether this is a content, this is a concept that you want to take in or not. And if in question, always apply whatever Oyi and Malik are telling you, because that's the reality. That's the authentic voice that you're bringing through the podcast.
Exactly. Yes, Mariam.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about how various religious communities inside Nigeria are responding to this. I think you've already touched upon it, but I know that there are different communities in Nigeria. It's like a salad bowl of a lot of type of cultures within one country, right? So how are they all responding to what's happening inside Nigeria?
Malik? Are you going first?
You can go on.
All right. Okay, let me just talk about my home. I'm a Christian-based Southern Nigerian. So let me just paint my perspective within, my religious activity or what I know about my own religion. Okay, so when it comes to the response of different religious communities in Nigeria to extremist actions, it is also important to know that the Christian community has been vocal in condemning Boko Haram's attacks. For example, the Catholic Bishop of Sokoto, 𝗦𝗫cie 𝗂𝘁, has been a strong voice against the group. And the Christian Association of Nigeria has worked with Muslim leaders, to promote peace and unity. So we also have organizations like the Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria and the National Christian Council of Nigeria, who have, they've actively worked to promote peace and counter extremism in the region. And it's not just the Christian community, but let me just leave that to Malik. But let me just say this, that it is important to recognize that the extremist actions of Boko Haram do not represent the views of the vast majority of Nigerians, and that people of all religions, Christians, Muslims, traditionalists are working together to promote peace and unity. So let me pass the mic to Malik.
Yeah, adding from what Oyindamola said, Nigeria is a country with roughly equal population of Christians and Muslims with numerous ethnicity. So as I previously mentioned, both Islam and Christianity reject the extremist ideology and their actions. And the religious communities have responded to these extremist actions by collaborating together, just as what Oyindamola has said, and to protest and call for better security measures to protect the lives of the people in their communities. Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys. I mean, anyone who's listening in, they are getting very, very different perspectives about Nigeria that's probably not at all represented properly in the media. Sometimes some authors who are writing from Nigeria, some very famous authors who write about it, they bring in their perspectives, and there we get to see such authentic voices. But again, we will not take it seriously because it's possibly fiction, right? But when it's coming from you, that's the reality, and that's what everyone should believe in also. So now I'm going to ask you about any personal experiences or stories that you've heard that you've been deeply impacted by in the wake of the so-called kidnapping industry of Nigeria. I'll save the country. Malik first.
So I've heard a story of a vibrant young boy that was born, raised and schooled in the midst of the insurgency in Bama, that's in Borno State, northern Nigeria, and who had encountered countless traumatic experiences and is exposed to the extreme violence of the insurgency. And he stated how education made him leave the trauma of guns and killings and divert his attention to pens and books. He stated how the importance and influence of education made him overcome his trauma and spring up his dream of becoming someone who can bring an impact and make a change in the society. This young and vibrant boy is the current Deputy Speaker of Borno State Children Parliament now. And this story have deeply impacted me. It is a reminder of the human capacity for resilience, hope, and achievement, even in the face of extreme challenges. So this story of this vibrant young man really impacted me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Oyi, what about you?
Okay. Okay, mine is a bit out of the kidnapping industry. Mine is a little bit, the bombing attacks and everything that the extremist group has been, done so far. So let me just go back to the personal experience that has deeply impacted me, which was, my uncle's death. My uncle, my mom's immediate brother, was a victim of the Enyaya bombing on April 14, 2014. He was fatally injured in his car during the blast and he passed away. So the news didn't reach my family until 2 days later, and it was a devastating blow. Having to watch my mom mourn, my elder brother was traumatic for our entire family. The pain, the grief. Oh my God, it took a month to come to terms with the loss. So this experience solidified, our advocacy for peace in the North. And this made us realize the importance of working towards a more united and peaceful Nigeria. So this man died so young, and I could always imagine what because I think he was about to move in as I think the general manager of World Bank, something like that, and that was a dream cut short. So the memory of my uncle's death is still fresh in my mind, and it's motivated me to continue working towards a future where no family has to go through what we went through. The impact of extremism is real. Yeah, it's real. It's not just emotional, it's physical. And it's crucial that we work together to, prevent such tragedies, from occurring again. So, that's my personal experience.
Okay. My God. I mean, we are talking about it now, but I can't imagine what both of you have gone through when it's happening around you, it's happening within your family.
I'm actually emotional.
And exactly. The thing is, something about this extremist activities is, like I said, it's not far from the south. My uncle is a South Nigerian and he got affected in the north. So we may not be dead, but emotionally we felt it, we feel it. So that is how it has always been. So that was why I had to discard what you said about the divide in Nigeria.
And I'm happy I brought that up.
That's true. We're still the same people. We only take different rights over there, and we have this. The north is a beautiful place, so we have southern Nigerians migrating there, to gain better lives. So that was what led my uncle to the northern Nigeria. It grew so fast, it grew so well. He became a general manager. He had good life, and it was an emotional ride for every one of us. So it's not just about southern, the north. We were not there. I wasn't there. It's a Nigerian problem.
Exactly, it's a Nigerian problem.
And how are young people? Sorry, Malik?
I said, may you so rest in peace. I'm so emotional.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Malik.
Wow. Okay. And how are young people like you in Nigeria mobilizing or reacting to these challenges? Like, what are some of the things that you've seen young people actually do around you?
Okay. Young people. Okay, sorry, Malik. All right, Malik, you can go ahead. Thank you.
Yes, young people in Nigeria are working tirelessly, working from the root cause to combat these challenges. What are the root cause? As I previously mentioned, these issues are mostly coming from the rural areas. and the high level of poverty and unemployment, and making some corrupt people to engage in such activities. And as Oyindamola said, like, we lack adequate education down there and in northern Nigeria. Although we are much more populated than them. So I can say maybe half of us are quite educated, and half of us are not, because we are much. You understand? Well, back at it. So young people in Nigeria are working tirelessly with community leaders and religious scholars to educate people about the dangers of extremism and encourage education. Yeah.
And Oyi, what's your perspective?
Young people in Nigeria are reacting to the challenges with a mix of frustration, resilience, and determination. Many are mobilizing and organizing to demand change and to promote peace and unity. So I don't know if you've heard about the Not Too Young to Run campaign, the Not Too Young to Run movement that has been going on in Nigeria lately. So this campaign is majorly led by young people to promote youth participation in politics and to demand greater action from leaders to address the challenges facing the country. So it's not just the campaign, others are using arts, music, and culture to promote peace and unity and to raise awareness about the issues affecting their community. So we have young people taking on leadership roles in their communities because, I'm so sorry, this old men, they aren't doing anything for us. And they have to be totally honest here. They are not doing anything for us. Just the lucky states. So young people are, they're working to bridge divides and promote understanding. Just like what they said, there's no divide in Nigeria, because if a young person has to think about bridging divides, and to promote understanding, there is nothing called, a divide in Nigeria. And we also have the 𝗬𝗏 movement. That one happened that was October 2020. That was in October 2020. And it's another example of young people mobilizing to demand change and to promote justice and human rights. Yeah, so that is, great. And we also have the Northern Youth Peace Initiative. Sorry, don't mind me. I don't even Malik mentioned that, but it's a very crucial, group that we need to, yes, that we need to mention in this podcast. They deserve the recognition. And, they are young people from the North, and they are working to promote peace and unity in their communities. So, I think that is all from my side.
And how are the victims who are usually, probably they have been returned after a ransom was paid or they was rescued. When they come back, how are the communities helping them rehabilitate back into the society? Or is there any formal support that is usually available for the victims and their families and communities that are affected? I'm talking about what has the government always come forward to provide, and what are any other, are there any non-profits or any parallel institutions who are there to give the support to the victims, families, and the communities?
Okay, I won't be able to say much in this for this question, but these are what I've been saying in the news. I've not been to the North to see what is actually happening there. And, to see the support that is available. But what I see in the news is, let me just say refugee camps, to be honest.
Okay.
Refugee camps. And I haven't seen the government taking action. I don't know if I've been keeping that side of the news, but that is what I have been seeing, refugee camps and non-governmental organizations taking the actions of the government. That is what I have been seeing online. So these non-governmental organizations, I see themselves, organize. I think trainings. They give out food, they give out water, they give out drinks. So that is how much I have seen non-governmental organizations, supporting these victims. So let me pass the mic to Malik.
Well, just as Oyindamola said, the NGOs provide humanitarian aid to affected communities, but this support is not frequently, it's not unlimited, and it's not consistent. And as I previously stated, the severity of the situation in these communities can only be fully appreciated through personal observation. So the refugee camp, they are living. There are some that lacks water. They are living. You see, maybe 5 or 7 group of family living in a place where you can't really. I can't even explain it. That's why I said I have people who went to that side, the insurgent side. So he was telling me, he was actually emotional, telling me that he haven't seen anything like government. The government really know what's going on. So that's why I always say,
and that is true, because it's been a while since the last.
Only be fully appreciated through personal observation, but they are really. Yeah.
Exactly.
So there is
the weirdest thing is, it's been a while. I last heard about these refugee camps. Do they exist? Do they still exist?
Of course, they do exist. Exactly, they do exist.
Wow.
It's no.
Oh my God, this is really sad.
And northern part of Nigeria, you know how populated we are. You can have a family of 10, 20, 13, double digit numbers. So it's very hard. It's very hard.
That's true.
And what about local peace initiatives or dialogues? As in, like, again, I'm not talking entirely only about the government, but what has there been any sort of someone who has decided to have a deal with Boko Haram, or somebody who has taken up the initiative to go and try to have a peace conversation with the militants? Have there been any instances of that?
I don't know, but the thing is, I've seen dialogues between, I think, organizations, trying to, create this peace initiative, with this extremist group. I'm not familiar with the government speaking with them directly. Yeah, but I think they did that with the Chibok girls, because they got some of them out. But that is the only time I got to know about that. I don't know if Malik knows about that.
I've only heard about an Islamic scholar who went to the president and discussed about how we can go there and discuss with them, so that at least they will find a way to promote peace, So that's what I only heard about. And there's a time that it's in Kaduna, right? Northern part of Nigeria. And he went there and he discussed with this is banditry. Actually, it's the bandits, not Boko Haram. So he went there and he discussed with them, and they released the abducted children there. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. And what can people outside Nigeria do to help or get involved in a positive way? One thing I definitely know is to not spread false news. But other than that, what do you think other people outside Nigeria can do to, actually get involved in positive ways?
Okay, I actually believe that people outside of Nigeria can help, or get involved in a positive way by educating themselves. They can learn about the history, the culture, and the challenges facing Nigeria to better understand the concepts. And they can partner with Nigerian-led initiatives and, organizations working towards peace and development. Well, another one is amplifying Nigerian voices. They can use social media to amplify the stories and voices of Nigerians working towards peace and unity. And one thing is crucial: supporting education and, cultural exchange. Just like I said, the North is still lagging behind when it comes to education. So they can support educational exchanges that can promote understanding and unity between Nigerians and people from other countries. one more thing is spreading and spreading awareness. They can help us. Well, they can be outside the country, but their prayers are still come down to us. So they can still pray for peace and unity in Nigeria, and they can help us spread awareness about. I'm not saying spread too much awareness about the challenges, because that can also disseminate our reputation, but they can, just create awareness about the challenges facing the country.
Is this also your hope for the future, Oyindamola?
Well,
my of Nigeria.
The future of Nigeria. Oh my God, this is a deep question. But okay, I truly hope for in Nigeria, well, where all groups, feel included and valued, and where diversity is celebrated. There is nothing like in Nigeria with equality, with peace, with everyone feeling not just socially equal, but economically equal. And I also hope by Nigeria with effective leadership and governance, where the leaders prioritize the needs of citizens. That is very crucial, because we're still lagging behind when it comes to that aspect. And I also hope for in Nigeria with economic growth and developments, where opportunities are available for all. To be honest, I feel like extremism is a result of, lack of economic equality. Because if everyone can enjoy economic growth, I feel like extremist activities can come down, to minimal. So, and I also hope for in Nigeria where social justice and equality are upheld, particularly for marginalized communities. Look at what Malik said the other time, that people don't talk about these refugee camps again, and I still believe that some people are still there. So we need to speak for those people. We can't just leave them there. We need to call their cases out and let the whole world know what is going on there. So we need to speak for these people, to advocate for them, because let me just say, they are the most marginalized 7 people in our country. So that is my hope for a future for a hopeful Nigeria. Let me just talk about it.
Yeah. And what about you, Malik? What about you, Malik? What's your what are you hopeful for the future of Nigeria?
Well, looking to the future, I am hopeful for a Nigeria that provides opportunities for its teeming youth population to express their indigenous creativity. And I hope a Nigeria where every child has access to quality education, irrespective of their background or circumstances. And I'm hoping for a united Nigeria that celebrates its diversity as a source of strength. And a Nigeria where its economic backbone will not solely rely on the oil sector, but will embrace the vast potential of other sectors like agriculture, manufacturing, technology. And I'm hoping for a Nigeria that will stand tall among the community of nations, a country that will harness its potential of human and natural resources to ensure prosperity for all its citizens. And it may seem like a lofty dream, but I believe it's achievable.
It is. As long as we have amazing young people like both of you, I'm pretty sure it is.
It is. Well said, Malik. Well said.
Yes. Well said, both of you. And this is actually bringing us to the close of the podcast, although I would really love to keep going on talking with both of you. I mean, that's something I would really love to do, but everything good has to come to an end. And before we close, both of you, you've given us a lot of really, really good nuggets of information about profound moments. But is there any like a message that you would like to leave to the listeners who are listening in? Because you're representing Nigeria. They are hearing about Nigeria through you. So is there any parting messages that you would like to leave, each of you, that you would like to leave to the listeners?
Wani?
Oh, everyone's buying time to think.
Okay. A message to the world or to Nigerians. Okay. To the world, I want to shout out that Nigeria is a nation of rockstars. Nigeria and its people are so much more than what is often portrayed in the media. And Nigeria is a nation of incredible potential, talent, and creativity. Amidst the odds, we are a people who are passionate, driven, and determined to succeed despite the challenges we face. We are a nation of innovators, entrepreneurs, artists, change makers who are shaping the future of Africa and the world. Yeah, what is Nigeria without talking about the Afrobeat sound? From the Afrobeat sounds of Wizkid, Burna Boy, Davido, Tems, and Fela Kuti, to the literary genius of, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie and 𝗬𝗵ощ 𝗂𝘶. Nigeria is a talent taking over the world. We are a nation of innovators, game changers, like I said. And one big thing is that we are just getting started. Yeah, so I want to encourage the world. I want to encourage the world to discover the beauty and wonder of Nigeria and its people. And they should come and experience our hospitality, our culture, and our resilience for ourselves. Thank you very much, Ashwathy.
Here. And how about you, Malik?
Well, let me start by saying Nigeria, the giant of Africa. I want to tell the listeners that Nigeria is blessed with population and natural resources, and its people are more than the challenges they face. They are a testament to resilience, hope, and determination. Despite the obstacles, Nigerians continue to strive, innovate, and inspire. Our culture is rich, diverse, and vibrant with a deep history and heritage. And Nigerian people are known for their warm hospitality, their love of life, and their determination to succeed. We are people who have faced many challenges, but have always found ways to overcome them. So this is Nigeria.
Yes. Beautiful. Thank you so much, both of you. I'm really grateful that both of you came to the podcast, and I'm on behalf of all the listeners listening in. Thank you so much, Oyindamola and Malik. I have enjoyed speaking with you, and I'm pretty sure everyone has enjoyed listening your perspectives about Nigeria, learning a lot about Nigeria through you. Thank you so much.
We enjoyed, also enjoyed the podcast. It's an amazing experience. And thank you for introducing Malik to me.
It's thank you, 𝗪𝗲𝗄𝗃. Yeah, thank you, 𝗪𝗃𝗄𝗃, for bringing all of us together. Yes.
Yeah.
So, and I'm pretty sure we will hear a lot about you both being such strong and powerful young people from Nigeria. I really hope that future of Nigeria would be very secure in both your hands. We have a superpower emerging in the south of Nigeria and the north of Nigeria. And I think you guys would be the future that should lead Nigeria into bigger and greater destinies. And I'm not joking here. This is not sweet words, but this is something that we really, really want to hear in the future.
Thank you.
Yes, Oyindamola, we can do it.
Yes, we can do it. Thank you so much, both of you, and thanks everyone who are listening in. We will come back with more insightful stories about youth from around the world every fortnight at the Kettle World Youth Network. Signing off. Thank you and bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Namaste.
Bye.
Bye.